Hey, church. I'm Julie. I'm on the Connections team, and I'm so grateful that I've been able to serve and stay connected to our small groups from my home over these past few months. I was on a call the other day with one of my small group hosts, and she used the words intense and unrelenting to describe what all she's been through this past year. She used it when she talked about good things and challenging things. And I thought to myself, man, those words really landed for me. Specifically, the thing that's been the most intense has been all the opinions. So many voices, so many thoughts, none of them seeming to agree on anything. This is how I imagine that it was for the church in Corinth. The church in Corinth went through some serious conflicts from both external forces and internal turmoil, just like us right now. In fact, the Apostle Paul refers to 2 Corinthians as a tear-filled letter. So, quick glimpse of the city of Corinth as Paul knew it. We know that he wrote many letters to this church in this city. We have two of them. We call them 1 Corinthians and 2 Corinthians. Corinth was a city with access to not just one, but two trading ports. So from that, we know that it was a wealthy city. Probably had tons of sailors bringing things to trade from different parts of the land. And with them comes different ethnicities, different foods, and different needs. In meeting those needs, Corinthians, they pushed all the boundaries. Some good, like embracing diversity. But the shadow side of that is also giving license to a whole lot of immoral practices as well. When we think of 1 Corinthians, most of us can remember that it has something to do with love. Yes, totally. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 is where you find love is patient and love is kind. This passage is actually a really good example of the overall tone of 1 Corinthians. It's positive, it's kind. And the good news is that this letter worked and Christians in Corinth responded. So then what happened between these two letters? Why is 1 Corinthians all about love and 2 Corinthians tear-filled? So many things, but one big thing is that false teachers began to gain traction and speak against Paul's teachings. I want to read some of Paul's response. This is 2 Corinthians 4, 7-10, but if you can, I want to encourage you to go back and read this whole chapter, okay? But we have in this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not abandoned. Struck down, but not destroyed. We always carry around in our body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be revealed in our body. I love that. I love that Paul uses this image of a clay jar because it was so common back then. Every household probably had a bunch of them. It was also typical for people in that time to hide their treasures or their valuables in these jars. We are just like those jars in how fragile they are. We can see our frailty in the division and the illness all around us. But just like those jars Paul describes, we as believers, we hold something so valuable inside of us. We hold both Christ's death and life within us, so our weakness is an opportunity to shine Christ's light. In our weakness, there's no question that power and light comes from God and not from us. Yes, this season has been, for so many of us, intense and unrelenting, but be encouraged. When you feel that in your day, remember these words from Paul. It is because of Christ in us. We may be hard-pressed, but we will not be crushed. We are not abandoned, and we cannot be destroyed. We love you, and we are with you through it all.